Hi, welcome to Turn-Based Besties, a podcast where two grown adults with no free time talk about their favorite RPGs. I'm DJ,
And I'm Sam, and we're besties that love to game.
and we also love and miss each other. We were just saying that we haven't talked to each other. I mean, it seems like we haven't heard each other's voices in a couple weeks, though like we definitely text probably every day.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. We haven't chatted, and we do commonly call and chat because I don't know. Maybe I'm an old soul. I kind of like to do that with some of my best friends.
No, I know. I actually don't do that with most people in my life. So it's nice that we get to do it because you're nice to
It is
talk
nice.
to sometimes.
Oh, that's very sweet. No, it is nice. I think it's a good quality to have and a good friend is to be able to just chat. And because sometimes you're having those conversations, and I think that's why a lot of people don't want to, is because it's like almost like stressful, because it's like, oh, are they going to say something? Am I going to say something? How's the flow going to be?
Mhm.
But it doesn't matter with us, and it flows, so
I
it's good.
know you got. That's what I always say about you is you've got good flow.
You might be the only one that says that, but I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Your flow is very strong.
I, okay, we're going there. We're going
Yeah.
that direction.
Uh-oh, gonna have to get an explicit rating on this episode. Just
There
kidding.
you go.
It's
Well, cool. No,
fine.
it's been a while. We were talking about what's happened since we last were together, and it's been a few things. And one
I
of the
know.
bigger things is my sister-in-law got married, so that was fun when we went to North Carolina and kind of out in the woods in this kind of there's a bunch of cabins that everybody stayed in. It was great.
Wait, do they
Had
live
I
in?
told you about this?
No, do they live in North Carolina now?
They do. They actually do. Yeah, not in this specific town where I think this place is mostly just. It doesn't have a whole lot going on, but it has. It does weddings. It's kind of a wedding venue. But we took the kiddos, so I have to do my obligatory kiddos stories about what we did while we were there. So Taylor was in the wedding, so my job was primarily to take care of the kids and watch the kids. And I didn't tell you this. Are we sure?
I I don't think so. I mean, who? I
We'll
don't
listen in.
remember.
Okay. So Jay was loved a few parts of it. On this compound, they had uh, alpacas and llamas, and Jay commonly would want to yell, "I'm gonna go feed the camels." And I was like, Jay, those are alpacas and those are llamas. And then he'd say, "No, I want to go feed the camels." So anyway, he thought they were camels. They were definitely alpacas and llamas.
The
And
packs.
then the packs, and then also, one of the fun things, they had a little stream, and so we went to.
Like a
Are you
swim.
going to write something? Were you writing something to me?
Oh, I'm gonna write the time where you said your son's name, and I'm also going to write
Bingo.
this time too.
Right now, when we're
Yeah,
cutting out exactly what I'm doing right now when I'm messing
exact.
up the flow, because
Ex-
I have such good flow, I'm
Actually,
proving.
I think I'm gonna keep it in right now. Actually.
Well, anyway, so speaking of flow, there was a stream at the cabin compound, and so we took the kiddos to the stream, and so Jay and In and I were playing in the stream, and at one point I had the fantastic idea to uh build a little raft or a little boat that we would float down the stream. Okay. So there were some sticks, there were these little vines, I tied together a little raft. It was great. So anyway, the kiddos were totally into that idea. However, uh I really stepped in it when I decided that I should ask In, what do you want to name this raft? And In says Bodie.
Yeah, Bodhi.
So
Obviously.
so in named it Bodhi. Great name, solid name. The problem is now it has a name, and now we are attached. So Bodhi goes floating down, and Bodhi goes over some rapids, and at one point Bodhi does not surface, and In just loses it, just
No.
full on lost it, tears, screaming, tantrum, just crushed that Bodhi was gone. And it took honestly 10 or 15 minutes to convince In to move on and do something different. And And then right when we had her move on, she looked down the stream and she goes, Bodhi. And I'm like, and what are you talking about? And I look up there and sure enough, Bodhi has survived. And Bodhi somehow found Bodhi's way down the stream and was broken, but was right there. So then I had to fish Bodhi out and repair Bodhi. And Ind wanted us to take Bodhi home with us on the airplane. We left Bodhi there.
Oh
But
no.
she didn't remember. But anyway, so that was a fun time at the stream with Bodhi. So pro tip, do not name things or they will get too attached.
No, absolutely not. Also, I think we might have some merch items on our hand with Bodhi.
Bodhi merch,
Bodhi
Bodhi
merch.
merch.
I think that's the official merch of Turn-Based Besties is Bodhi.
But that'll be our mascot, Bodhi mascot. And I don't know that I definitely have a. She did not specifically say, "Daddy, tell me everything about." But the good question she has had since I talked to you last is she asked, "Daddy, why don't we wear helmets in the car?" I thought that actually was a good question.
That's actually
You
a
know,
really
we
good
were
question.
yeah, we wear helmets when we bike and other things, and professional race car drivers wear helmets. You know, it's dangerous enough for them. So, we must just the balance of having to put something on, mess your hair up, the uncomfortableness of it versus the protection or how unlikely it is that you would be in an accident, the protection you would get from a airbag, all those things. We've just decided that any added protection from a helmet is not worth it. It's not worth the discomfort and messing up your hair and everything else, I guess.
I think she broke the matrix. Wait, why do we not wear helmets in cars?
I don't know. I wonder. Surely it's safe. It's theoretically safer if you got into a high speed accident. I'd have to think.
I mean, it's got to be.
Anyway, so yeah, she asked these questions, and then it makes me wonder. And then also she asked me about daylight savings time, and so then I had to be like, I really don't know as much as I should about daylight savings time, and then go read a little bit of the Wikipedia article. But
Nice.
anyway, so she's getting smarter and asking great questions.
Yay, well we love her brains.
Mm-hmm.
And
She's
how
growing a
she's
brain.
she's so inquisitive. It's so great.
Well,
Um
what's life like for you in the last few weeks, Deej?
Dage. So I have been really busy with gigs lately, which has been really nice.
Nice.
Yeah. I have had last weekend I had a Bach where I was the soloist, and just 2 days ago I had a Schubert Mass where I was also the soloist. And these are for our listeners who may not know, I'm a professional like classical opera singer, and these events are called oratorio. And for those who don't know what that is, it's like opera, but it's not staged and it's not memorized, and it's usually with some like religious narrative, not always, but almost always. And we stand up there with our binders and we sing usually in Latin, though not always. And I had those two back to back, and on Saturday they wanted us in a tux, which is becoming less of the standard, but still often I have to wear a tux. And I've not worn a tux in a while, in a couple months. And I didn't have to wear it for the Bach, just for the Schubert. So I'm putting on my tux before I leave the house for the Schubert, and my cummerbund, the thing we call it like the bread catcher, that
The
catches your crumb.
Benedict.
Right, right, yes, my Benedict cummerbund, snapped and broke. And I thought, okay, that's fine. Like it's not necessary. It's antiquated at this point. Lots of people don't wear it, or they may choose to wear a vest instead. So I was like, whatever. Like I don't need it. I'm gonna be buttoned up anyway. So you wouldn't see it on this particular fit of tux that I have. So I'm like, sure, that's fine. And before I walk out of the house, the heel of my right tux shoe comes undone. So I'm like, I sound like I have clogs on, but just on the right part of my foot body. So like I even joked with the other soloists. I just started shaking my right foot, and it sounded like I was giving myself an applause with my feet. So
This was also a tap performance, correct?
yeah, which I'm really good at tap dancing. Just
While opera singing.
yeah. So it wasn't my finest looking moments, but I think I sounded pretty good out there. I think before I walked out, I was like, man, I look like a mess, but no one's going to be close enough to see that my shoes are clogging or that my cummerbund is broken or that the tenor soloist, bless his heart, had to retie my bow tie before we went out there because it was coming undone. It was just like grief after grief was happening.
That's beautiful. I'm sure you made up with it with how beautiful the singing was. And I heard at least some of it from your Insta. I don't know what you posted on that and what that was exactly, but whatever I saw on your Instagram recently was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I think I don't know what it was, but yeah, there was some singing. I think it went fine. So we do the best that we can, and now I am in the market for a new tux.
Oh,
So it's
what's the
fine.
shelf life on those? Are they? I guess they don't last that long, but everybody says if you're going to wear it more than what 2 or 3 times a year, you should just own your own. And so
Right, and I've always owned my because I do wear it more than 2 or 3 times a year. Not a ridiculous amount, but usually 4, 5, 6 times a year I'll be required to have a tux, so it makes more sense to own it. I think I've had this tux for like 5 or 6 years since before the pandemic started for sure.
hmm,
So
okay.
it's my body hasn't really changed much, but the tux has decided it's gonna break in some places. So I think it's time to get a new tux that hopefully lasts another 4 to 6 years. You
It
know,
sounds like it. It sounds like it. Do we say if we're talking about your work and your singing and stuff? Do we do a push up update every once in a while? How is what's the push up situation?
the push-ups. So there's
I guess you have to give a background now.
there's a yet to be announced role and show, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's
So
for
so
push-ups. It's for I have to do some push-ups in this show, and where
can we
the
do a teaser like this, or are we gonna have to cut this part out?
oh no no we'll do this teaser. We'll do the teaser. That's fine. I'm at 35 without stopping, and I feel
Whoop,
pretty
whoop.
good. I feel pretty good about that. And then
That's
I can finish off the
extremely
other.
solid.
I can get to 42 still. I just need to take a breather and then I can do the other 7. And the cool thing is I won't have to do all 42 in a row anyway, but I just figured if I can do 42 without stopping, it's going to be even easier when I get, 2 or 3 minutes in between 15 or 20 push-ups to sing. So I'm trying to do
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
42 in a row. I think I'll get there.
I love that it's 42. That's one of my favorite numbers.
It's
Life,
really kind of
life, the
random.
universe, and everything. No,
Wait, is it really?
that's the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy number. Life, the
Oh, that's
universe, and everything.
right. You nerd.
I'm a nerd. Remember we talked if I put on the spot and I was going to get a tattoo, I'd probably do 42 with some other flowery things that I would add in there or something to make it interesting. But
Well, when you get your first tattoo, we'll post it on the Turn-Based Besties Instagram because now there's reason for it because you mentioned
well,
it.
I we can't where I'm getting it. We're not going to be able to post it on the
We'll save that for our Turn-Based Besties OnlyFans.
after.
I
That's how we really crank this up to 11.
think
Okay,
so.
great. Well, good. I think we've taken a turn this episode. We'll see if that's a welcome turn or not. But
We'll see.
either either way, so catching up on other things. P3 reload, Persona 3 reload. Where are we at? What are we doing? I think I'm at the beginning of August now. So I know you're further than I am, but I'm doing my best here. And it's been a lot of fun. Definitely, music's great, visuals great. um I the trouble for me has always been the high school setting and all the interactions and stuff like that, and so I'm finding ways to get through that, and sometimes I'm just speeding through the conversations now, which is fine because the mechanisms of the game are very rewarding, and so I'm trying to lean into the aspects that I really like.
I agree. The music is great. The visual
Mm-hmm.
is fantastic. I like the battle system. You and I were texting about Tartarus, and
Tartarus is
that
great.
I think it's really fun. I guess this is more dungeon crawly than um, newer Persona games. I mean, I know that it is, and I thought that was going to be a turnoff for me. I'm having a lot of fun when I'm in Tartarus. Believe it or not, Sam, I'm having the same. My one con for the game right now is some of the social links that I have to sit through, which isn't, I guess, not a huge surprise. But there were a few social links that I did not unlock for August, and in August I think that's when you're basically on summer break. And if you don't unlock some of them for summer break, you just don't see them until you're back in school. So
Mm.
by the end of summer break, Sam, all of my stats were at 6. Like
Oh,
I'd maxed out my 3 stats because that's the only option I had to
you
do.
didn't have people to, yeah, you didn't have social links.
I didn't have any.
Interesting. So I need to make sure I maybe do those, or I mean, maybe it's good to get your social links or
I
your
did.
stats maxed
I
out.
think so, and it's fine. I'm not worried about it. But I was like, oh, cool. Guess I'll go get ramen again, and I'm gonna get ramen tonight. And I think tonight I'll get ramen. So, but you know what? It was academics ramen, so I'm very smart now.
So smart from those omega 3s and
Oh
6s.
my God, shut up. Oh, so
That's
that
good.
our next episode will likely be on Persona 3 Reload. Even if we're not completely finished, I think we'll have enough content to talk about.
I think it's safe to say.
I think so. So today we are talking about 2 games. This will be the first in maybe a series. I don't know. Where Sam and I both play some games, and Sam finishes one game, and I finish the other game, but neither of us finish the opposite game. So we're going to give you a little mini review today. I started and finished Golden Sun. Sam, you started and finished Fire Emblem Engage.
Absolutely.
I started and did not finish Fire Emblem Engage. And Sam started Golden Sun and said,
And
nope.
did not finish.
You said,
So
no,
this is
thank you.
our Frankenstein's monster review episode where we patch together uh two different reviews from two different games. And but you know what? That's I we're gonna lean into this, right? That's what we've said
Oh,
is
yeah.
that sometimes you don't like a game and you don't finish it, and that's okay because we
Yeah.
only have so much time in life, and so why spend it playing a game that doesn't click with you?
Oh,
And
exactly.
so we can talk about the game, and I think that's a good different side is to talk about why somebody didn't finish a game.
I know. I was thinking more and more, and we'll get to this when we get to Fire Emblem for you and why I didn't finish it. I actually don't think I have good reasons to why I didn't finish it, but we'll get to. And I think you probably
Because you're
do
wrong.
have.
Yeah, you're wrong.
I think I'm just
This is
wrong,
true. No, I'm just
honestly.
kidding. No,
You.
you agree with so many people out there that did not like it as much as Three Houses and other Fire Emblem games, so
I
you're not
know.
wrong.
I don't know. Well, we'll get into it when we get there. I kind of feel bad that I didn't finish it now, but it's fine.
I feel bad about Golden Sun because I was reading back when I was trying to make sure I knew why I didn't, what I was saying back when we were chatting about it.
Yeah.
And before I played it, I was so hyped for it. We were talking about it so much. We were excited to play it at the same time. So I also have some guilt there for not finishing it with you.
It's so Midwest. It's Midwest guilt that we both have.
Oh, didn't finish
Oh,
it.
oh, let me scoot right past you and grab some guilt. Hey, I'll start with my review today. First
Do
of
it.
Golden Sun, originally released in 2001 on the Game Boy Advance. Then it was released on the Wii U, and in 2004 it was released on the Switch Online, and that's how I played it. The developer is Camelot Software Planning, known for games like Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, all those sportsing Mario games that I've never played before. And Shining Force, which is a game I really want us to play at some point. I've never played it. It's another strategy game, and I think it'd be kind of fun.
Mm.
It's like a Sega game, it's super old. The publisher of Golden Sun is no surprise, Nintendo. Our composer making another return. Matoi Sakuraba, known for music, obviously in Golden Sun, in all of the Tales games, in the Star Ocean games, Valkyrie Profile, Super Smash Brothers. My personal playtime was 25 hours for Golden Sun, which for me was like a great amount of time to spend on a game. So, do you
It's
have your?
really not the hugest engage investment. So
I know it
I
was.
should be even more embarrassed that I didn't finish it.
No, you really shouldn't. No, because I think it's interesting with Golden Sun because when you finish the first game, you've really only finished half of the game anyway, and I'll get into that. So I basically only finished half a game, I guess. Whatever. So let's talk about the visuals. It's this really pretty, that's not really journalistic. It's this beautiful 2D sprite work. I thought it was really pretty colors though, and I really liked looking at it. And you and I are both a little colorblind, and I still found it to be really pretty looking. My favorite thing about the visuals is when you go into a battle and you have this, like, I call it an angled back view. You're not looking at the backs of your party, but you're looking at them from the back, but like from a side. So I'm going to say angle back view. And and then when the enemies have a turn, it switches over to that angle for them. And it gives this really cool, like, rotating sense of being in 3D, even though the game is not in 3D. So that is one of my favorite parts about the visuals. The overworld was kind of boring looking. It wasn't anything special. It reminded me of the overworld in the Sega CD version of Lunar, the Silver Star, which was cool in 1992. But when a game in 2001 looks really similar, the overworld, I thought, they probably could have done a little bit more. I'm being picky with it though. Yeah, but that's our job, is to be picky, right? I thought
We're
each town,
reviewers.
right? We're reviewers now. Hire us, IGN. Each town, each town and dungeon, I thought had its own charm and personality. So I thought that was really cool. Some old games in the late 90s, early 2000s had a habit of making all the dungeons kind of bland and all the towns kind of boring. But I thought Golden Sun did an okay job. As soon as you got off the bland overworld, the towns and dungeons were really beautiful looking. With the music, now some of this is going to sound like a repeat if people listen to some previous episodes when we previewed Golden Sun. So with the music, the reviews all praised the game for music, and I super duper agree. Just like the visuals, the audio really pushed the system to its limits. I never got tired of hearing the catchy battle theme. I'll probably pop it into the episode right now. I'll have our editors put it in the clip. I'm our editors. It's fine. I said in a previous episode when I was playing the game, my husband said, "Wait a second, this music sounds really familiar. Have you played this game before?" And I was like, "Nope, but it sounds familiar because it sounds like Star Ocean, and you can super duper hear the similarities." And I think we are 5 for 5 episodes now with me mentioning Star Ocean. So let's keep that
Not a
train
shocker.
going.
Yeah, not a
Yeah.
shocker.
It has
Nobody's
this,
surprised.
right? So super duper cool Star Ocean esque music, a cool driving electric guitar line. It gives this like rock type feel in the battle. Again, just like the visuals, the sound and audio like super push the Game Boy Advance to its limits. So now we're going to talk about some of the characters in the game. So I don't have I don't have a favorite. I'm just going to talk about the 4 main party members that you have and just give a little rundown of who they are. So we start with Isaac. Did you get all 4 party members before you quit?
No, I was like 3, 4 hours in before I quit.
Cool, cool. Great commitment. So you start with Isaac. He's your typical silent protagonist. Not a big personality, but At first I wrote like devoid of personality, and I thought about it, and it's Isaac is not devoid of personality. He just is a silent protagonist. I think they do this so you can like role play yourself as the main character, which I appreciate. The game prompts you with a number of like how do you respond in this situation types of questions, which is cool, but I don't think any of the answers have any impact on the story at all. So I think they just do that for like color text basically, like in D&D. So it gives Isaac a little bit of a personality, but it's kind of bare bones still. His childhood best friend Garrett joins you right from the get go. He's bigger than you, a little bit brash. They didn't make him like a big dumb character like some games do, but he definitely leans toward being like a hot-headed every so often. He usually carries a bigger weapon than Isaac, like an axe or a two-handed sword. Oh, side note, I do like how in the battles, if you change their weapon icon changes. I think I've mentioned that before with other games. I just think that's really it's a cool little attention to detail that not all games do. I think
Little
it's cool.
things.
It's the little things that matter. So you have Garrett the hothead, then you get Ivan. He's the like, can I do this character with his two fingers touching together? Like, I don't know if I can. Super cute. You get to see him really progress in the story. He's our mage type character. Sometimes seemed a little bit whiny to me, but again, I think that was kind of a product of the time when characters were kind of tropey and typical. You finally run into Mia, your healer slash mage type character. She's the token female character who looks kind of like a princess, but is super headstrong, and I honestly think would make a better leader or main character than Isaac. I guess she's my favorite character. I guess, now that I'm saying it out loud. I don't know. With a bonus, I guess, with talking about characters, the cool thing is the classes and Jin system. On the previous episode, when Jin was pluralized, I said Jenny. I think it's still just Jin. So sorry to mispronouncing a word. My bad, viewers. Each character, depending on the Jin they have equipped, could pack a super powerful magical punch, or they could be a great healer, or a great buffer, or a great debuffer. So the Jin, I thought, were a cool little added on character in the game. I love how you were so snarky with our outline and your like story or the lack thereof in Golden Sun.
Well, but
Oh,
that more applies probably to Fire Emblem than Golden Sun.
it might apply to Golden Sun a little bit. It didn't really move the needle in regards to telling a new story. Golden Sun didn't. It's your like traditional teenagers save the world, and it's told. I thought it was told fine. It was a bit sparse. I was thinking about this on my drive today, and I don't like it when a game makes me try hard for the main parts of the story. It's okay if a
Mm.
game makes me try for the side quests and if it makes me try for like hidden bosses or special equipment, but I shouldn't have to consult a guide for the main story beats.
True. Yep.
And I feel like Golden Sun, like a lot of games 20 plus years ago, made me rely more on a guide than I wanted to. I'll get into that maybe in a little bit later. Here's a little synopsis. I didn't write this. I'm going to read from the box game itself for Golden Sun. Golden Sun's story follows a band of magic attuned teenagers called Adepts on a mission to protect the world of, I think we say Wayard. I'm going to say Wayard.
Sounds weird.
A Wayard to protect the world of Wayard from alchemy, a potentially destructive power that is sealed away long ago. During the quest, the adepts develop new magical abilities called synergy, assist others, and learn more why alchemy was sealed away. The game ends on a really big cliffhanger, and they expect you to play Golden Sun The Lost Age after it, which is the sequel, and it picks up directly after the first Golden Sun. So it's one of those cases where you really shouldn't play the sequel if you've not played the first game.
Do you
So,
feel any sort of closure at the end of the first one?
yes, There is closure. There's a little bit of closure with, I don't want to spoil anything. There's some closure with some of your main party characters and like their main story beats, but there are characters outside of your party whose story clearly did not end.
Hmm.
And in fact, at the end of the game, their story gets interesting,
Oh.
and then the game ends. So it was a good enough cliffhanger that I'll go back and play Golden Sun: The Lost Age at some point. I just felt like if I jumped right in, I was going to be playing the exact same game again for another 25 hours. So I just think I needed a little bit of space before I jump in. And I think the games were released a year apart anyway. So I honestly might wait a year before I play
So
it.
for the true experience, you need to wait a year.
I mean, I'm okay with it. It's fine. We'll have to re up our family plan on the Switch Online, but it's
We will
okay.
that I think that's a given.
Yeah, obviously. So my favorite aspects of the game. Listen, y'all, I love a turn-based RPG, and Golden Sun is fun. It's a serviceable turn-based RPG. It checks off the things that I want in a game: engaging visuals, excellent soundtrack, really fun battle system, and it's a fine story. I know you always peg me as someone who's like story first and everything else is the
I
second,
do.
but I don't think that's me. I like a story that is there. It doesn't have to be Shakespeare, man. The story just has to move along and make sense. And the story does, and it's fine. I think that's
Okay.
a little bit of the reason why I'm having a little bit of drawback with Persona 3. Is the story's quite fine, and then I feel like I'm just treading water for 3 weeks. But this isn't a Persona 3 review. It's a Golden Sun review, which I also felt like sometimes I was treading water until I consulted a guide. So, man. My least favorite aspects of the game, the Gripes of Wrath, which we've not said since our first episode, but I guess we're bringing it back. Gripes of Wrath. Sure, why not? um, is there a copyright on that? Should we not say Gripes of Wrath?
I don't think there's a copyright. It's definitely a book title for at least for I think that one of the English comedians. So
Oh.
that is why, yeah, we
Oh,
don't
then
own
we
that.
we won't say it then, but I'm gonna keep it in because it's funny. But yeah, we'll just say like our least favorite aspects of the game.
We're giving
It,
credit to somebody else.
there you go. So my least favorite aspect of Golden Sun, I had to use a guide, and I don't know people who could find some of these Jin in the game without using a guide.
Mm.
Sometimes you find out where to go next without like I couldn't find out where to go next without using a guide. It wasn't like
Wow.
And it wasn't like old school Nintendo hard where if you're not using a guide, you're super screwed. Like I wasn't glued to the guide the entire time, but I did always check in. Like I had it pulled up and I was checking in more than I wanted to.
Hmm.
It was a little grindy, though that's not like a huge gripe for me because I like the battle system. I think that was my most favorite part of the game was just the battle system itself. So I didn't mind grinding a bit. I freaking hated the inventory system. It was so dumb. Each character can only hold, I think, like 15 items, and then you have to pick. You have to drop items. I hate it. I hate it when games do that. Just give me an unlimited inventory. Like just make it so every party member is holding a bag of holding, and
Yep.
you can just put so much stuff in there. And a lot of
Yep.
modern games do that now, and Golden Sun does not. And it was really annoying. And I would have to drop things from my inventory that I could have sold for a lot of money. And like again, maybe if I consulted the guide more, I wouldn't have to do this. I would have listened to someone say like sell your stuff before you go to the dungeon. So maybe that's on me. I don't know. Um, Also a tiny thing, it took me forever to click through the menus to try and find something like experience points. It took me forever. I had to go on Reddit to find out how to find this on the Golden Sun Reddit, and I'm not the only one who couldn't find the experience points. So Golden Sun, get your menus in order, man. Not amazing. Not great. Um, the gameplay. Gosh, I feel like I'm talking so much, Sam. We wrote so much for these games.
Yeah, so this is the we're figuring out how we do these reviews where we both review a game, and so there's not going to be as much back and forth on each
Yeah,
game, right?
yeah.
So this will be a test.
It'll be a test. Let us know if you hate this. I mean, like
While you're
honestly,
listening, let us know if you hate it. No, I agree with that, but we won't be able to change it at the moment.
yeah, like we won't be able to change this episode, but if you hate it, just like email us or like drop us a comment on our Instagram and be like, "This sucked." We'll change it, you know? It's
That's
fine.
true.
Hey, I'll do a brief one of the gameplay. Y'all out there, another game with random encounters. So if you don't like it, just know that they are random encounters. They are not super frequent, so you won't get bogged down with like every 3 steps you'll get a random encounter, but they are random. You have 4 people to your party, turn-based, where everyone puts in their commands first and then the battle takes place. There is a class system that is linked to how many and what type of djinn you have equipped. And this is a pretty unique system. So this is really cool for the game. Just simply equipping a djinn boosts your stats, but you can unleash them in battle for a one-time attack. You then have the option to simply re-equip them again, or depending on how many you have unleashed, they're on standby, and you can summon big monsters to wreak super havoc. If you do this, however, you cannot re-equip them again for a few rounds. Like I said the previous time, if this sounds confusing, it's because I did a bad job of explaining it. I swear it's not hard to figure this out in the game. I think I just did a genuinely poor job of explaining it. So there you go. The animations for the summons I thought were really cool though. I never skipped them. I just sat through and watched sometimes like an animation that would take 15 to 20 seconds because it was really beautiful. Like the visuals are genuinely beautiful on the Game Boy Advance, the GBA. The out of battle stuff reminded me of Zelda. I don't know if you played long enough to experience any of this, Sam, but you got to use different elemental spells to solve battles. Not to solve battles, sorry, to solve puzzles. And sometimes they were really intricately done. Like you'd have to use your wind spell to blow a pile of leaves away to see a cave, and then go in the cave, and you'd see some puddles, and you'd have to freeze the puddles so they could turn into these big pillars, so you get to jump across a gap. And I thought that was really
That's
cool.
cool. That's cool. I That was one thing when I watched reviews on it that I was most excited about. Was using spells in the real world. I thought that was cool.
It was really, really cool. I'm forgetting. It's been since January since I've played it now. There are more spells that you can use out in the real world that I'm forgetting, but that's how you usually find some of the extra hidden djinn using these spells outside of battle. So, Sam, you asked what would I do differently on a second playthrough or a new game plus?
Yes.
I would experiment more with different djinn on different party members. I played it really safe the first time. I think I only made a change of djinn like 3 or 4 times. So
Mm.
mostly, if it was an earth djinn, I would keep it on Isaac. If it was a fire one, I would keep it on Garrett. I think wind I would keep on Ivan, and then water I would keep on Mia almost exclusively. And I stayed boring with that, but it would give.
From when you read about the game, are there ways to use them differently that can work for the other people in really, really strong ways?
Yeah, there
There
are.
are. Okay.
They're total.
So there are
Yeah, like
builds and stuff that you could do that would work for anybody.
oh yeah, as soon as you change the djinn, the elemental djinn to another character, their class changes also.
Ah.
So and then their class changes, you get different spells. So I felt pretty safe in what I was doing. You know, my strategy didn't change a ton. Most bosses could be defeated by everyone unleashing their best summon, then everyone releasing a Jin magic that they had left, and then maybe another round of Jin magic or just regular magic spells. So like most bosses could be taken down, like or cheesed, I think is what like the cool gamers would say, in like 4 to 5 rounds if you started out aggressively. And usually games penalize you sometimes for starting out really aggressively, and I feel like I never was penalized for
Okay.
unleashing all my summons right away. Even though that lowered my stats, it didn't affect me. So,
Huh.
Maybe I just got lucky. I don't know.
You're just that good.
Well, you're just
Get
lucky.
get good, bro.
Get good. Speaking of getting good, Sam, you asked me what tips would I give someone starting this game for the first time. Guys, this game is 20 years old. It's 20 years old. It's over 20 years old, and it was released on a handheld system. So if you are a graphics snob, just go somewhere else. You won't like it, and that's okay. Or like maybe don't be a graphics snob. I don't know. And if you're playing it for the very first time, use a guide. And I know that's kind of lame, but if you want to get all the gin, you're probably going to have to use a guide, especially if you want to transfer your save to the sequel. Which, when you transfer your save to the sequel, you transfer all of your items and your stats and your gin. So
Well, that's cool.
if you don't get all the gin in the first game, there's no option to get them in the second game.
Hmm.
So do that. That's what I would say. Use a guide the first time and get over your graphic snobbery. You know. So there's that. Why did I play this game to completion? I kind of liked the bad guys.
Oh,
Like they were the party was compelling enough, but the bad guys, I kind of liked their story, and I just wanted to. I don't like that we got to check in with them periodically, and I kind of wanted to see them get taken down. They were tropey like JRPG bad guys where you're kind of laughing at them sometimes with their banter. You're like, okay, you're evil because you're telling us you're evil. Cool. What did I say? I was like, there was one person who was more of a tweener, and I'm using a wrestling term with that. They be a tweener, so not a face, not a heel, but a tweener, meaning that they are a little heroic and also a little villainous. And I wanted to see how their story ended, or in this case, how their story progressed, because their story ended on a cliffhanger.
ooh. So there'll be
Oh,
a big deal in the second one.
I think they're a playable character in the second game.
That's cool.
I think I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure they are. So that's my review of Golden Sun. I think this is the first game that I've not just gushed about on our show.
That's probably true. Yeah, I was expecting gushing,
I
just
know
gushing.
just so much gushing, and there was some gush,
Some gush, little gush.
little baby gush.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I don't think I'd play it again.
Okay, but you will play the second one.
I will maybe play the second one.
Okay. So why did I not gush? Why did I not get in
Yeah,
there and gush?
I don't know.
So I'm not a graphic snob, definitely not.
No.
It's more of a maybe I'm a modern gameplay snob though, because I think it was mostly the quality of life things that I'm used to
Hmm.
from modern games or uh, um, updated games, remakes, right?
Hmm.
So the things that they add, I think I was looking back at what I was texting you while I was playing it, and one of the main ones was, oh my god, it needs a mini map,
Oh
like
my god,
a
it
million.
does though.
Yeah, it needs a mini map. That would be nice. It needs a speed up function for certain things. And then I think I wrote that, I was 3, 4 hours in, and I think I had watched 2.5 to 3 hours of dialogue, and you walk over here and then they talk for 15 minutes and you can't speed it up, and you walk over here and they talk for 15 minutes and you walk over here, and it's like just and I wasn't doing anything. And then I think I just thought I was going to do more of that the whole time, and I was seeing the future of all these things that hadn't been updated or remade, and I was decided to just jump ship at that point in time, and I apologize. But I am intrigued by the gen system that you talk about. That sounds up my alley. So I think there's a chance I could give this a try again in the future. I
I
definitely do.
I didn't regret my time with it. I genuinely did not regret my time. I don't feel like I wasted 25 hours. And there are games that I feel like I've wasted hours of my life playing. I don't feel like I wasted my time with Golden Sun. I wouldn't play it a second time.
Is it a game that deserves the Star Ocean Second Story R, like the remake? Does it deserve the remake?
Sure. It would have to
Yeah,
be, I mean,
it has to be well done.
it would have to be an actual remake. Like not a port, not a kind of halved remake. Like it would have to be a full-on remake, like with modern graphics. I think I would.
Okay,
I think I could play that then. I
nice.
think. I,
Okay,
I think you know. It's a. I think we're seeing with all the new turn-based games coming out that like turn-based RPGs still sell well.
yeah,
So
surprisingly,
surprisingly, so there's a market for something like Golden Sun, or even maybe not even a remake, maybe a new Golden Sun.
just a new game. That's probably a better idea
Yeah, I would
because you'd
I
get
would
the old fans, but also new ones if you just made it really well.
yeah.
That's probably the ticket.
I'd play it for sure. Yeah,
Well,
it's a
cool.
fine game. We don't award like blank out of blank stars on here, so I won't do that. But it's a fine game. You should play it if you like gaming history.
There you go.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, I will go next, and I will speak about Fire Emblem Engage.
Woo, my
Um,
favorite.
Yes, DJ's favorite. So released January 20th last year, 2023. Developed by Intelligent Systems. Publisher is Nintendo, as you might expect. And the console is just the Switch. It was just on the
It's
Switch.
a Switch.
Composer. So I tried, looking up. It's various. There's several different composers. I only one of them had a Wikipedia page,
Oh.
and yeah, so nobody that we would know as well. How long did I spend on this? So how long to beat says 40 hours. My slow self spent about 75 hours on this game. So three times as long as Golden Sun, for me at least. It is a strategy RPG, also known as a tactical RPG. So, overall, it's seen as a more streamlined Fire Emblem experience.
Mhm.
Probably more focused on the gameplay, less focused on the story, is what a lot of people will tell you. However, I thought the story was pretty good for my tastes. Let's see, and for my experience too, just so you know, I played it on hard mode, not maddening, not the very hardest, and I use the classic version, which includes permadeath. So if your characters die, they dead, and that is the that it's called classic for a reason. That's the way classically people played Fire Emblem, and how people associate it. So I think I had to stick to that, which means I maybe used the rewind function a lot because I didn't want to lose anybody. But that is how I played it. Let's see here. So gameplay, like I mentioned, tactical or strategy RPG. You have the classic top-down grid-based system of turn-based. You got to move your character here and attack a different enemy unit. Positioning being super important. You have physical magic attacks, and so compared to Three Houses, the break system or the triangle weapon system has returned. That's kind of how they referred to it. That spears or lances break swords, axes break spears and lances, and swords beat axes. I think I said that correctly. And then, but there's more than that. So you also have knives that certain people use, which can be quicker and poison your enemies, and sometimes you're more likely to get double attacks with those. Magic users can be broken as well by hand-to-hand combat units. There are certain high defense armored units who cannot be broken, but they are more resistant to damages. But then magic can just shred through them, and then flying units are going to be weak to bows and certain magic spells. So there's different nuance. It's not just the triangle. So quick story bit. So again, not seen as the strongest story, but I liked it. So you are the personification or the human form of the divine dragon who had been asleep for 1,000 years. Um, like a lot of games and animes, I think, and other things like that, dragons can take human form in this. And so anyway, you had a war 1,000 years ago with the evil fell dragon, and At this point in time, 1,000 years in the future, you reawaken because the fell dragon has also somehow reawakened and is gaining power, and you have to stop them. So I'll kind of leave it there, but that's the beginning story points. Visuals, I thought they were rather good. Most people see them as better than, or serviceable, better than Three Houses. Again, yeah, I'm not a graphics snob, as we were talking about, but it does look nice. It is a dynamic 1080p docked and 720 handheld, if that matters to you, and it targets about 30 FPS. This is turn-based. Like, it's not a
Yeah.
really fast, shooter or fighter. So I don't think the frames per second matter mechanically, and also visually, it didn't seem to matter much. But I thought it looked nice. It has a lot of bright colors, nice character models and outfits, stellar battle animations and cutscenes that were very well produced. And again, most people say it's probably better than Three Houses, and I would agree with that. Um, let's see some other things to the visuals. It's kind of cool that when two characters are fighting, like you see them on the 2D grid, and then when they battle, it zooms in to watch the battle if you want to, if you don't want to speed through that. And and that was always really well done. And you, instead of being just kind of in a void battle environment, it was actually zooming in on, and you could tell you were still on the battlefield that you started, which was a nice little touch. And then again, when you would finish a battle, they created an entire 3D environment from the 2D overview that you would run through and pick up items and maybe adopt some animals that were on the battlefield and stuff like that. And so it felt a little bit more lived in. It was a little bit of a cool touch there at the end of a battle to see the battle environment from a 3D perspective that you could run around in. Negative to the visuals, I thought the lighting effects and the shadow effects were pretty weak. Magic animations were lackluster. Yeah, but overall, okay. Audio wise, music was top notch, just so great. Upbeat, high, pretty fast paced orchestral classical pieces. Honestly, I had listened to Three Houses score again, and that's what made me want to jump into Fire Emblem Engage. It was the music from the Fire Emblem games. Yeah. So and really you're amped up while you're listening to this, and then you'll be playing, and it takes a while in these battles sometimes, and the music kind of just draws you in, and then you look up and it's been an hour and a half, and you're in the same battle, and you've been doing that for a bit. So that was my experience. Favorite game aspects, for one, the somnial. So this is kind of your hub. This is where canonically you slept for 1,000 years, and now you'll come back to that between the battles. So there is so much you can do here, and I won't go into all of it, but the normal cooking and fishing that you can do, and there's a shop, and you can refine your weapons and stuff like that. You can work out to get buffs,
Work
buff
out to
and
get
buffs.
buff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Spend time with different party members to increase your bonds, which actually correlate to stat increases if you're positioned next to them on the battlefield. You can hang out with Sami, who I'll talk about. He's the little dog character, which is cool. There's so many things you can do here. You can create new emblem rings. You can tend to your flock of animals, so you can get dogs and cats and pigeons and sheep and eagles and all these things and put them out in a field, and they get items for you. It's so cute. So many things to do. And what I like that there's a lot of options, but then I also kind of min-max it. So by the end, it's like, okay, you want all dogs because they get you the metal ingots that you can use to upgrade your weapons. I run to this place and I do this. I run to this place next and I do this. So I had a loop that I would do by the end between every battle. So I kind of streamlined that system, which was nice. Other things that were my favorite game aspects, I'd have to say the customizability. So you're picking your party. There are 35 total characters, I believe, that you can pick, and 69 different classes. When I looked up the number, I think that's a little misleading because sometimes it's a certain class with an axe, in a certain class, same class with a sword, and the same class with a spear. So that might be a little inflated, but there are a lot of classes that you can pick, and each class will have different abilities and moves, which is nice. Each character can get a bunch of different skills that you can equip to them based on this SP and skill system. So you can prioritize which skills you want them to equip and allow them to do different things. I focused a lot on speed. I don't know that this works in maddening, but I would focus on some skills that let you, if you were fast enough, attack twice before the other person, so you could knock them out quicker, which I thought was nice. At least on hard mode, that worked. Engraving and upgrading your weapons. Engraving is kind of a specific thing to this that makes things more customizable. Each emblem is kind of the word for a prior Fire Emblem game main character that has come back as an emblem in this game. And you can use their emblem and apply it to each weapon, and it will give them that weapon buffs, but you can only use it on one weapon. So maybe it'll increase the critical rate, but it might decrease the strength, or there's different things like that. You have bonds between the characters that you can that give you upgrades or stat increases if you're next to them in battle. So that's kind of customizable. So really, there's a whole bunch of deep systems and many different characters and classes that you can play with that I really enjoyed. Sami, I love. He's a chunky little white dog thing that you can put in different clothes, and he runs around and follows you throughout the Somnio. He's great.
Is he a party member?
No, sadly, unlike he's not a party member. He just hangs out in the Somnio, hence his name, Sami. He's named Sami,
Oh, I
and he
mean,
lives there. And so you'll run to the next activity, and then literally like a couple minutes later, he's been following you and trying to keep up, and he'll show up. Oh, it's
yes.
so cute. It's so great. Let's see. And the last thing I would say as a highlight would be level design. So I think this is it maybe the eighth Fire Emblem game over 20 plus years. So I mean, they know what they're doing
Oh,
at this
sure.
point, right? They know what they're
Yeah.
doing with tactical RPGs. They know what the how to design a level, and it is evident. It was very nice. So fave characters. The main character, Alir, the divine dragon. There was a lot of hullabaloo about his infamous red and blue hairstyle. People compared him to toothpaste and other things, I believe. But I'm okay with it. I kind of, if you have this many characters and you're trying to make them memorable, you got to make them stand out. So I'm cool with the look. And he was a little bland, but overall likable character. Celine was one of my main characters, magic powerhouse. Straight up, I was one-shotting or one-turning dragons by the end, just taking them out. She was awesome. And then Yunaka, so she was super fast. You could make her this Wolf Knight class. You could make anybody technically the Wolf Knight class, but she was prepared to go into that role. So she was super quick, good with the knives, and she was just one of my faves there. You can kind of, I don't know if it's technically marrying at the end, but you give them like a gift or something, and they're like your primary S tier bond. And so that was the one I went with. There was Yunaka.
Mhm.
Least favorite aspects. A lot of things are hidden from your view, and I had to look them up online. So growth rates for the characters, maybe there's a place to see it. I didn't see it. And also growth rates for classes. I thought it'd be nice to be able to look that stuff up and not online, and know a little bit more about um, yeah, those growth rates and which one I might want to go into for each character, which class, to try to bump up certain stats. Thought that'd be nice, but I could not find them. The inventory, man, you didn't like the inventory on yours. The
Mhm.
inventory on Fire Emblem is horrible. Um, you, I, I mean, each character can only hold a few things. Luckily, you don't have to throw stuff away like in yours, but just equipping stuff, or also if you want to use a certain stat boost item, the way you have to do this, it just, none of it seemed to make sense. um, Along the same lines too, when you change classes for the character, which is a big part of this, you do it under the inventory instead of its own class change system. I don't know, that just never made sense to
Why?
me. I don't get it. They've done this, like I said, this is so many iterations of Fire Emblem. Why is it still like that? I wish I could speed up certain battling animations. That'd be nice. And then let's see. The last thing I guess I'll say about things I did not like as much would maybe be, you mentioned that you could do an offensive playing style in Golden Sun.
Mm-hmm.
Fire Emblem, at least on hard mode, the way I played it, tends to favor a lot of a defensive playing style. You don't want to overextend, or that, especially in the classic mode, where if somebody dies, they're gone.
Yeah.
So you don't want to overextend or they get wiped. So you have to be pretty defensive, which is maybe not as fun as just going out there and knocking people down. So anyway, if I did it again, yeah, you were asking the same kind of question to me, DJ. If I played a new game plus here, what would I do? I'd probably try a maddening build or a maddening run. It would take so much time, because if I spent 75 hours on hard, I'm sure I would spend so many more on maddening, but that's okay. I'd use different characters and put them in different classes. There's so much to do with the replay. It'd be great. Tips for newcomers or somebody was trying this. There's a lot, they probably assume about Fire Emblem. Maybe they assume you've picked up, and they might not introduce you. So maybe watching some overall guides or reading some guides online would be useful. Knowing about the weapon break triangle, the weapon break system, learn a little bit about classes and growth rates, stuff like that would probably be good to before you jumped in. And yeah, and then just kind of go for it, and maybe don't play it on the hardest setting, but just dip your toe in and try is what I would say for somebody new. So okay, so the last kind of question here: why did I play this to completion, and conversely, why did DJ not play this to completion? So I like strategy RPGs, tactical RPGs. I like the loop of upgrading my team and weapons and equipment and rings and jumping in again. The music just keeps you pumped and drawn in. The story was good enough for me, not too much. And then yeah, I like a challenge. So I felt like on hard mode it was a nice level of challenge. And so that really drove me to want to finish it. So DJ, what did not click with you?
I feel bad. I only gave it. I think I only gave it like 6 hours, and I feel like that was not enough time to devote to the game. So, like, come at me
That's
all you want, folks.
that's more than I spent on Golden Sun. So
I know, but then Golden Sun's only 25 hours, and Fire Emblem's like 40 plus hours. So I know I should have spent more time.
75.
One reason, yeah, 75, whatever. One reason
No, I'm
why I
kidding.
didn't
40
finish it.
is
One reason why I
more
didn't finish
accurate.
it is because Octopath 2 came out, and I thought,
Solid
ooh,
reason.
I was like, let me play this game and not finish it instead.
I'm never gonna hate on somebody skipping out to play Octopath 2. Never gonna hate on that.
That's fair. Yeah, the story just didn't really appeal to me. I thought the battling system was fun. I thought the graphics looked great. Since Fire Emblem Three Houses was my first and to date only Fire Emblem game that I've played, I didn't really get the. I wasn't excited that former protagonists were returning in Fire Emblem. Like, that didn't. I totally understand why that would appeal to folks who have been following this series for 20 years. It just wasn't an appeal to me, so that didn't hook me. Yeah, I feel like maybe your review makes me want to reconsider playing it at some point. Not right now. You and I have some games to play because we have to review
We
some
got
games
we
for
got
this
some games
show,
to play.
right? But yeah, maybe I'll return to it at some point. I don't know. I didn't hate it. I've read that some folks just despise it online, and I certainly didn't despise it. It wasn't like the worst game I ever played. It didn't hook me right away, and I didn't want to spend. I wasn't in the mood at that time to spend 10, 15 hours to get hooked by a game.
Yeah, fair enough. No, it's a commitment, and there was a lot of hate for the game compared to other Fire Emblem games, or
Hmm.
definitely compared to Three Houses, which was almost universally loved. So I can't say I understand that as much either, but yeah, to each their own.
I don't know. I mean, because was Three Houses also your first Fire Emblem game?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's why we don't understand the hate, is we are both new to the Fire Emblem series.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
Mabes,
exactly. It's not our it's not our baby, and so that doesn't mean the same to us right now.
it's not our baby. I don't know. I like other strat. I mean, I've not played a ton of other strategy RPGs, but the other ones I've played, I've liked and finished, like Three Houses and Triangle Strategy.
Yeah.
So I guess it's only two, but I have played and finished both of those, so that's good.
Well, hit us with a segue, DJ.
Hit us with a segue. So segue. I kind of love that you're like hit us with a segue, and I'd be like, yeah. And next we're gonna talk about two of our good friends, Adam and Kara, and why you should follow their YouTube channel, Crunchy Cozy Games. Take your gaming to the tabletop with your friends and ours, Adam and Kara, on YouTube at Crunchy Cozy Games. Get your next board game recommendation with top 10 lists, curated looks at classic games and emerging new favorites, and conversations about everything they love in the world of board gaming. No matter whether you play for a challenge or play to unwind, Crunchy Cozy Games on YouTube has something for you. Subscribe to Crunchy Cozy Games today.
Beautiful.
Great. Sam, speaking of an awkward segue, why don't
Never
you?
gonna get better.
I
It's
know
never gonna
we
get better.
you know we all have our faults. I love that you do a medical moment so much. I think it is cute, and I actually think it's pretty informative.
Well,
So, what are we learning about today, Professor?
well, it's fun that it's medical. I don't know how medical this one is, but it's fun. So what I was thinking about is, you are in Fire Emblem Engage, you are resting or sleeping for 1,000 years, and I feel like this happens. This is such a game trope that your character was asleep for however long. Breath of the Wild, you're asleep for 100 years or whatever it is, or in all these games, your character was just fell into this sleep and then you wake up in the distant future and it's like, how, okay, all right, so can that happen? Does that ever happen with humans? How would we do that? So then I went a little bit down that rabbit hole. And so for one thing I looked up was cryogenics, which is the freezing of humans and trying to reanimate later on. Um, so yeah, uh, really, it's not a thing yet, right? Some people want it to be a thing, and they try. It's not a thing yet at all. There are about, from what I was finding, about 500 people in the world that are currently frozen, with this being their plan to be unfrozen and reanimated at a later point. No, now currently you can't be frozen alive. Somebody has to have passed and died, and then they can attempt this. Part of the process, real quick on it, you do have to limit ice crystals, which are very damaging, from forming in your tissues. It wouldn't, if you had too much damage, you wouldn't be very good to reanimate there. So they have to actually use like an anti-freeze type solution that they pump somebody up with, and then they freeze them in liquid nitrogen to about negative 196 degrees Fahrenheit is what I was reading, is that the body is frozen to and stored at. Yeah, again, nobody has been successfully unfrozen and revived. Shocker.
Yes,
But
super shocker.
but there has been success, as you might, with cells and embryos and tissues and stuff. So potential progress there. There are some animals that can do this. Technically, they're animals. Tardigrades or water bears. Have you ever heard of these? Like, they can be frozen. They're these tiny little things. You'll have to look them
Yeah.
up. They can be frozen, or that sometimes they're frozen in space or whatever. They're considered one of the hardiest things out there, and then they can kind of come back to life. So some things can do something similar to that. So past cryogenics, I then wanted to look more into, these deep, long sleeps. Sounds like hibernation, right? So what's going on with hibernation and animals? Well, there's hibernation and there's a lot of different things that different animals do, which is very similar. So overall, all of these different things similar to akin to hibernation, you have lower metabolic activity. You're much less active. It is like a prolonged sleep in a way. Um, some of them, yeah. So hibernation is one of them. It's generally longer, as in months, and done by primarily mammals, squirrels, marmots, bears, bats. There's apparently marsupials too. There's apparently one species of bird that hibernates, which is kind of cool. You decrease your metabolism. You sometimes you go into more of a lipid based metabolism, which is probably too much for this. And then I was shocked by how they don't drink water the whole time. Their body just is able to preserve water for months. Surely they are more dehydrated by the end, but they don't drink water is what I was reading. There
Huh.
are interbout activity. Our IBAs is the abbreviation there, where they actually will wake up, remove waste. So go to the bathroom. It sounds like the immune system might be ramped up for a little bit during this. There's different biologic functions that happen during these interbout activities. So they kind of almost wake for a little bit. But even during those moments before they go back into the hibernation, they don't drink water, I guess, is what I was reading, which I was just shocked by. So crazy. So that's hibernation, generally mammals, longer, we're talking months. And yeah. And then, so different types of animals do similar things, but there are different terms. So our cold-blooded friends, reptiles, amphibians, those kind of things, when they get cold in the colder months wherever they live, they might also become less active. And that's considered or called brumation. So they'll become less active. They won't do much. They'll kind of just lay around, and that's brumation in colder times.
I feel like
For
that's what we do in the winter time too. I feel like there's a
we
brumating.
we are amphibians and reptiles apparently. Um, for hot weather climates, sometimes where there are droughts or a wet season and a dry season, during those hot and dry times, certain animals, fish, certain amphibians will go through, I think it's estivation. One of the ones that I thought was the coolest is the African lungfish. If the waters dry up, they're a lungfish, so they can breathe air. They will make a little mucus lined mud cave that they live in, and then wait for the waters to come back. And I was reading that they can survive like this for up to 4 years.
Oh,
Question, DJ.
oh, is this like the? I can't remember if it's alligators or crocodiles. I saw this on TikTok where either an alligator or a crocodile, when the water starts to freeze, they're like, "Uh oh, the water's freezing," and they position themselves where their nose is just like barely out of the water, and then they're frozen.
I've seen that. Yeah, yeah. I would consider that would probably be brumation. So they're a
Okay,
reptile in the cold. But yeah,
okay.
so like I'm sure their body is much less metabolically active. They're basically resting until, yeah, they're like, it's too cold. I'm just gonna stick my snout through here and go to sleep.
It's too cold. Put my nose out.
That's what they do. And yeah, I've seen those videos too. And didn't some people try to like free them and get their and I think and get their snout out of there, but uh you know actual people that know what's going on and biologists and whatever were like, please don't do that. They know what they're doing. Like they're not dying. Like this is
Yeah.
a thing they do. Yeah. So anyway, but I thought that was crazy that 4 years they can just be hanging out in a little mud cell underneath the underneath the where the water is gonna underneath the dried up lake or whatever it is. So that was cool. And then the last one is called diapause. That's primarily insects that do this one. So it's again low metabolic activity, resting state. It's mostly insects for diapause, but also shrimps and mites and nematodes. And they mentioned that this yucca moth larvae could be in diapause for up to 30 years before reanimating and growing again and coming back to life,
What?
which is just crazy. 30 years.
That's like
Yeah.
almost as old as we are.
And it's almost as old as we are. So nothing is like 100 or 1,000 years that I could find, as in video games, but 30 years, pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So anyway,
Professor.
there you go. Cool stuff.
We always end with like, "What are you playing right now?" But I feel like we gave it away
We
at the
gave it
beginning
away.
of the episode. I'm only playing through Persona 3. I'm not playing another game on top of that. Are you?
I'm playing only Persona 3, and I'm probably, before I finish Persona 3, going to start Unicorn Overlord, which I have already bought. I am just too hyped for it. I've already bought it. I I will finish Persona 3 Reload, but I expect myself to start Unicorn Overlord before I
I
finish it.
I think that's fair. I watched a review of it the other night, and I finally kind of got it.
Did you know? Good. Yeah.
Yeah,
It looks so cool.
it looks
Oh
super
man.
cool, and I was watching the review with my husband, and I was like, oh, this makes me actually want to finally have a buddy, you being that buddy, to keep me accountable and to play and finish 13 Sentinels.
I'm down for that too. We just have to find some time.
I
That is the kicker.
know that'll be post summer for sure. If y'all follow us on social media, you see that we have a schedule through at least
We have a
the
schedule.
middle of summer, and we're going to do our best to stick to it. We may not, but I think we're going to be able to do it.
And we might never do another one of these Frankenstein 2 reviews in one if people don't like it, but
We
we'll see.
might, you know what? We might not, or we might. I don't know. I like that you're calling them Frankenstein episodes, though.
Or we just do one review and one person talks about it and the other one just heckles them and chimes in all the time
I
about why they
would
didn't like it.
I would love nothing more than to just heckle you. So, so that sounds pretty fun for me. I don't know how fun that'll be for you.
Yeah, scratch that. Forget that idea that I just came up with. Let's not do that one.
No, it's going out. It's on the. It's not editing that out. That's going out into the public now. You heard it first. Hey, folks, if you love what you're hearing, or if you want to even help us be even better, you can drop us a comment by following us on Instagram at TurnBaseBesties. You can listen to us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Currently, we're on Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Overcast, and Google Podcast. And I have been Googling us, and I know there are other places that we are located now too, but I have not written them down. But we're at a number of places. Go to our socials and let us know what games you're excited about playing. You can also email us questions at turnbasedbesties@gmail.com, or let us know, I don't know, if you want to hear Professor Sam give us a new medical moment.
Yeah. Oh shoot, I forgot to talk about Torpor.
Torpor.
Well, whatever. It's the same kind of thing, just really short, but really short. And bats do it. Okay,
Do you want to save
never
it for the
mind.
next? Do you want? And
I totally
we'll.
ruined. I ruined the whole outro, and the whole medical moment is done now.
Damn it, Sam. It's okay. You
No, it's okay.
know.
But if you like to hibernate, let us know on our socials.
Perfect. Great. I love it.
You said I'm so good at the transitions. I got us right back in.
You're so good. I love you so much.
Alrighty. So when everything in the world points right, maybe go left and see what you find. I'm Sam.
And I'm DJ. This is Turn Based Besties. Bye.
Bye.